The number one hidden food that silently ages your heart, and I used to eat it every morning. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to age faster than others? Not just in their skin, but deep inside their bodies. The truth is, there's one food that's been silently damaging millions of hearts around the world, and most of us eat it every single morning, thinking it's perfectly healthy. For years, I used to start my day with it. I believed I was making the right choice, something light, something good for my heart. But I couldn't have been more wrong. What I discovered later completely shocked me. Because this common breakfast food doesn't just raise your cholesterol or blood sugar, it accelerates something far worse, internal aging. I'm talking about silent inflammation, oxidation, and damage to the delicate lining of your arteries, the very system that keeps your heart young and alive. And the scariest part? It hides behind healthy-sounding labels, the kind of marketing that makes you feel safe while it's quietly stealing your vitality. In today's video, I'll reveal the number one hidden food that silently ages your heart, the biological mechanism behind how it destroys your arteries over time, and the powerful natural foods that can reverse the damage, restore your energy, and help your heart beat stronger no matter what your age. So stay with me till the end, because once you learn what this food really does inside your body, you'll never look at your breakfast the same way again.
The silent heart killer. What this food really does inside your body. Extended version, English. When we think of heart disease, we picture clogged arteries, cholesterol, and high blood pressure. But the truth is, your heart doesn't suddenly fail one day out of nowhere. The damage begins quietly, invisibly, years before the first symptom ever appears. It starts with something so small you can't see it, tiny cracks forming along the lining of your blood vessels. At first, they're harmless. Your body repairs them easily. But when those repairs happen every single day, over and over, because of what you're eating, the body eventually loses control of the fire it's trying to put out. And that fire is called inflammation. See, your heart doesn't age because of time. It ages because of repeated injury. And the number one hidden food I used to eat every morning was doing exactly that. I remember thinking I was making the healthiest choice possible. It was everywhere, on commercials, on cereal boxes, even labeled this heart healthy. Doctors said it was fine. Nutritionists said it was balanced. But deep inside, something was breaking. When you eat this so-called healthy breakfast, it floods your bloodstream with refined sugars, oxidized oils, and additives that your body doesn't recognize as real food. Your blood sugar spikes, your insulin surges, your cells become overwhelmed by free radicals, unstable molecules that act like sparks inside your arteries, burning and scarring their inner walls. The body, always trying to protect you, sends in white blood cells to patch the wounds. But that constant repair mode turns into a silent war. Layer by layer, plaque begins to build, made of cholesterol, calcium, and cellular debris. And here's what's really terrifying. Those plaques don't appear overnight. They build silently year after year as your arteries grow stiffer and less elastic. The flexibility that keeps your blood flowing freely, that gives your heart its youth, slowly fades away. You might feel fine. You might even think you're healthy. But the reality is, every spoonful, every bite of this so-called healthy food is pushing your heart closer to premature aging. Now here's something most people don't know. This food doesn't just affect your arteries. It attacks your mitochondria, the tiny engines that generate the energy your heart needs to beat 100,000 times a day. When those mitochondria are damaged, they produce less energy and more oxidative stress. Your heartbeat literally becomes weaker, less efficient. That's why even if you're eating less, exercising, or taking supplements, you might still feel tired, heavy, or drained. It's not in your head, it's your cells screaming for help. And it all starts with this one hidden food that millions of people eat every morning. It tricks your taste buds with sweetness, comforts your mind with routine, and hides behind labels like low fat, whole grain, or fortified. But once inside your body, it acts like sandpaper on your arteries, scratching, scarring, and aging them from within. This is the silent process most cardiologists never talk about because it doesn't show up on a simple blood test. It's happening long before your cholesterol goes up, before your blood pressure changes, before any machine can detect it. And if you don't stop it, this process becomes your new normal. The fatigue you feel, the brain fog, the slower recovery after exercise, they're not random. They're early signs that your heart's energy system is burning out. So before I reveal the exact food that starts this cascade, you need to understand why your body reacts to it like a toxin, even though it's been labeled as healthy. Because once you see how deeply this food interferes with your body's natural chemistry, you'll understand why I'll never touch it again.
The hidden ingredient behind the damage. When I finally discovered the truth behind this healthy food, I couldn't believe it. It wasn't the brand, it wasn't even the calories. It was one specific ingredient, a modern creation that didn't exist 100 years ago, yet now hides in almost every breakfast product on the market. It's called refined seed oil, and it's silently aging your heart from the inside out. Now, here's the shocking part. These oils didn't exist in the diets of our grandparents. They were invented as industrial byproducts, cheap replacements for real fats like butter, ghee, and animal oils. But over time, they were marketed as heart-healthy, a cholesterol-friendly alternative, and even approved by major health organizations. The truth, however, couldn't be more different. When you heat and refine these seed oils, like soybean, corn, canola, and sunflower, they go through intense chemical processing that destroys their natural structure. They're bleached, deodorized, and often reheated multiple times before they reach your plate. And during that process, something toxic is created: oxidized lipids and aldehydes, molecular poisons that your cells cannot handle. Once these unstable fats enter your bloodstream, they embed themselves in the membranes of your cells, including the cells that line your arteries. They don't just pass through, they become part of you, altering how your cells breathe, communicate, and repair themselves. This is where the aging begins. Your body senses these abnormal fats as invaders, triggering an immune response. Inflammation rises. Your liver struggles to filter the byproducts, and your arteries start to stiffen, not because of cholesterol itself, but because of oxidized fats lodging deep within the vessel walls. Imagine your blood vessels like flexible rubber tubes. Now, picture what happens when you coat those tubes with a thin layer of sticky residue that hardens with every meal. That's what these oils do, slowly turning soft, living tissue into something brittle and fragile. And here's the worst part. They're everywhere. In breakfast cereals, low-fat granola bars, margarine, baked goods, coffee creamers, even in so-called healthy oat milk. Each morning, millions unknowingly start their day with a spoonful of oxidation, believing they're nourishing their hearts. But that's just the beginning. Once these oxidized fats interact with sugar from your toast, your juice, your flavored yogurt, they form something called advanced glycation end products, AGEs. These compounds literally age your arteries by cross-linking proteins, making them stiffer, less elastic, and more prone to rupture. It's like your arteries are rusting from the inside.
This is why so many people can have normal cholesterol levels but still develop heart disease, fatigue, or early aging. Because the real danger isn't what you see on a blood test, it's the microscopic damage happening in silence. For years, I thought avoiding saturated fat was the answer. But when I replaced butter with vegetable oil, when I chose margarine instead of ghee, when I switched to low-fat yogurt, that's when the fatigue began. That's when the inflammation worsened. That's when my heart and my body started aging faster. And I didn't realize it until I saw the science. Multiple studies now show that oxidized seed oils are directly linked to endothelial dysfunction, a condition where the inner lining of your arteries loses its ability to relax and expand. That dysfunction doesn't just lead to heart disease. It's the biological definition of vascular aging. So the next time you see the words heart healthy on a bottle of canola oil or on a cereal box, remember this: it's not your heart that's being protected. It's the industry that's being protected. And while this ingredient may be hidden in almost everything, there's a way to fight back by reintroducing the very foods that our ancestors thrived on, the ones that heal your arteries instead of destroying them. We'll get to that soon. But first, we need to uncover how this single ingredient, combined with your morning sugar, turns your breakfast into a slow-motion attack on your heart.
How sugar supercharges the damage. If the hidden oils light the fire inside your arteries, then sugar is the gasoline that keeps it burning. For years, I thought sugar was just about weight gain, calories, cravings, maybe a bit of energy loss. But what I learned changed everything. Because sugar doesn't just sit in your bloodstream, it chemically bonds with your proteins, your collagen, and even the walls of your blood vessels, turning them brittle from the inside out. It's a process called glycation, and it's one of the most powerful drivers of aging known to science. When sugar molecules attach themselves to proteins, they create compounds called advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, and the name couldn't be more accurate. These AGEs literally age you at the cellular level. They distort the shape of your collagen, weaken your arteries, and trigger chronic inflammation that your body can't fully repair. Now here's where things get even worse. When you combine sugar with oxidized oils, like the ones in your so-called healthy breakfast, the reaction becomes explosive inside your body. It's like mixing sparks with oxygen, an unstoppable chemical storm that accelerates oxidative stress, clogs the arteries, and silently inflames the heart. And the scariest part? This isn't just about eating cake or candy. Even the foods we consider light or fit, granolas, flavored yogurt, smoothies, protein bars, are loaded with hidden sugars. They spike your blood sugar, flood your insulin, and leave behind a trail of damage that no workout or supplement can undo. Each spike in sugar is like a microscopic injury to your arteries, and your body responds to every spike with inflammation. Over time, that inflammation turns into scar tissue, the same scar tissue that stiffens your blood vessels and raises your blood pressure. But it doesn't stop there. Inside your mitochondria, the engines that power every cell, sugar becomes a toxin. It floods the system with excess glucose, overwhelming the cell's ability to burn it efficiently. The mitochondria start producing free radicals, which then attack your DNA, your proteins, and even the heart muscle itself. That's why people who rely on sugary breakfasts often feel that mid-morning crash, the sudden drop in energy, the foggy mind, the irritability. It's not just fatigue, it's the early whisper of metabolic exhaustion. And I felt it too. Back then, I thought I was eating clean, low-fat, whole grains, but every morning I was unknowingly combining the two most inflammatory substances on the planet: sugar and oxidized oil. It's a deadly duo,
one that silently hijacks your metabolism, inflames your arteries, and sets the stage for everything from fatigue and hormonal imbalance to heart disease. You can't see it, you can't feel it, until one day you can. It starts with tiredness, then anxiety, then brain fog, and before you know it, your blood work looks normal, but you feel far from normal. Because sugar doesn't destroy your heart in one blow. It does it slowly, gently, invisibly. Each bite, each sip, each healthy breakfast becomes one more step towards cellular decay. And if you think cutting out table sugar is enough, it's not. Because the most dangerous forms of sugar are hidden in the foods we trust the most. They're disguised under names like maltose, fructose, glucose syrup, dextrose, and brown rice syrup. Different names, same poison. This is why millions of people who think they're eating clean still struggle with chronic fatigue, inflammation, and premature aging. Because every morning, their first meal is silently programming their heart to age faster. But there's hope, because once you understand how sugar fuels this silent fire, you can start to turn it off. You can literally reverse the biological clock of your arteries. And it starts not with medicine, but with awareness. Because the moment you stop feeding your body what's hurting it, your body begins to heal itself. And that's exactly what happened to me.
The turning point, when I finally stopped. There comes a moment, a quiet one, when you realize something isn't right. For me, that moment didn't come in a hospital or from a diagnosis. It came one morning, standing in my kitchen, staring at the same breakfast I'd eaten for years. I remember feeling tired, again. My chest felt heavy. My energy was gone before the day even began. And then it hit me. I was doing everything right, at least according to the world. Low-fat foods, heart-healthy labels, whole grains, no butter. Yet I felt older than I should. That morning, something inside me said, "Stop." So I did. I stopped believing the labels. I stopped trusting the marketing. I stopped eating the food that had been quietly stealing my vitality. The first few days were strange. No more toast, no more margarine, no more healthy cereal. Instead, I went back to what humans have eaten for thousands of years, real food. I started cooking with butter again. I used olive oil, avocados, eggs, salmon, foods that had been demonized for decades, but felt natural, alive, and satisfying. And in just a few days, I noticed something I hadn't felt in years: clarity. My mind felt sharper. My energy didn't crash mid-morning. My heartbeat felt steady, powerful, like it had finally found its rhythm again. But that was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, my body began to change in ways that went far beyond appearance. I wasn't chasing energy anymore. I had it. I didn't crave sugar. My hunger finally felt calm. My mood stabilized. My focus deepened. And most importantly, my body felt light, not because I lost weight, but because the invisible weight of inflammation had finally lifted. I later learned what was really happening on the inside. Without the daily bombardment of oxidized oils and sugar, my arteries began to heal. The inflammation markers in my blood dropped. My cells started producing energy more efficiently, thanks to the restoration of healthy fats in my mitochondria. Even my resting heart rate lowered, a sign that my heart was working less to do more. It was almost like my body was waking up from a long sleep. And I realized the human body doesn't need fancy detoxes or complicated diets. It just needs a break from the poisons we call normal, a break from the marketing that manipulates what we believe is healthy, a break from the silent habits that slowly take our vitality away. Because when you give your body what it truly recognizes, real food, real nutrients, real rest, it knows exactly what to do. It heals, it regenerates,
it comes back stronger. That was my turning point. The day I stopped eating the food that silently aged my heart was the day I started to feel alive again. And the changes I experienced weren't just physical, they were emotional. Because when you realize that what you believed for years was wrong and that you have the power to change it, that's freedom. Real freedom.
The science of reversal, how the heart can heal itself. For decades, we were told that once your heart is damaged, it can never fully recover. That the best you could do was slow the decline. But the truth is, that's not true. Because the human body, especially the heart, is not a machine. It's alive, it's intelligent, and it's always trying to repair itself, even after years of damage. When I stopped feeding my body the toxins that aged it, the sugar, the seed oils, the processed foods, something incredible started happening inside me. And science now explains exactly why. Your arteries, for instance, are not fixed pipes. They're living tissues, lined with delicate cells that can renew themselves every few weeks. When you remove inflammation, those cells begin to regenerate. The tiny cracks in the arterial walls, the ones that were once filled with oxidized fat and calcium, begin to smooth out, like small wounds closing after years of irritation. Inside your bloodstream, something else begins to shift. Your endothelial cells, the inner guardians of your arteries, regain their natural flexibility. They release nitric oxide again, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels and restores healthy circulation. Your blood flows freely, your pressure stabilizes, your energy rises. And this change doesn't take decades, it can begin in weeks. See, your heart is one of the most responsive organs in your entire body. It listens to everything you do, what you eat, how you sleep, what you think, how you breathe. And when you start giving it what it recognizes, oxygen, real fats, minerals, hydration, peace, it responds fast. In fact, studies show that within just 21 days of removing processed oils and refined sugar, markers of arterial inflammation can drop by up to 50%. Your triglycerides normalize. Your HDL, the good cholesterol, rises. And your mitochondria, the engines of your heart cells, start working more efficiently, producing clean energy instead of oxidative waste. That's not a miracle. That's biology, doing exactly what it was designed to do. You see, every cell in your body has one mission: survival. It doesn't care about calories, diets, or trends. It cares about energy and balance. When you remove what disrupts that balance, your cells automatically start moving toward healing. It's the same principle that allows a cut on your skin to close, a bone to mend, or an infection to fade. Your arteries can do it too. They just need space, silence, and the right materials to rebuild. And when that happens, something magical occurs. Your heart doesn't just survive, it reverses. The stiffness fades, the inflammation cools. The blood begins to flow again with the smooth rhythm of youth. Your face brightens, your energy returns, your sleep deepens. You start to feel the quiet confidence of a body that is no longer fighting itself. And as I watched these changes happen within me, not in years, but in weeks, I realized something profound. Healing isn't about adding more. It's about removing what's in the way. Because the truth is, your heart never forgot how to be young. It was just waiting for you to stop aging it. The new morning, living with a younger heart. The first thing I noticed wasn't my body, it was my mornings. They felt different, calmer, brighter. There was a stillness I hadn't felt in years, the kind of peace that comes when your body isn't fighting against you anymore. I'd wake up before my alarm, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. My chest felt open. My breathing was smooth. My heart wasn't heavy, it was light, alive, and strong. And in that quiet space between sleep and wakefulness, I realized something. I didn't just change what I ate, I changed how I lived. See, when your heart is inflamed, your entire world feels inflamed. You lose patience faster, you worry more, you wake up tired, and you forget what vitality even feels like. But when the inflammation fades, when your blood starts flowing freely again, your body reconnects with something ancient. Rhythm. That rhythm is the music of life itself. Every beat, every breath, every moment of calm, it's your body saying, "Thank you for listening." I began to notice the little things. The way sunlight felt warmer on my skin, the clarity in my thoughts, the peace in my sleep, the strength in my heartbeat. All the things I thought I had lost were never gone. They were just buried under years of silent stress and the wrong fuel. And the beautiful thing is, the heart doesn't hold grudges. It forgives you the moment you start giving it what it needs. That's the real miracle. Not the supplements, not the workouts, not the hacks, but the simple act of coming back to what's real. Whole foods, stillness, gratitude, movement, connection, breath. Because every choice you make, every meal, every thought, every breath sends a signal to your heart. I'm still here. I still care. Let's start again. And every day you choose life, your heart listens. It beats a little stronger. It grows a little younger. It forgives a little more. So now each morning feels like a quiet celebration, not of perfection, but of progress. Because healing isn't the single event. It's a relationship, one between you and the miracle beating in your chest. And when you start living from that place, not fear, not guilt, but gratitude, your entire world changes. Your food becomes medicine. Your breath becomes prayer, and your heart becomes your greatest teacher. So if there's one thing I've learned through all this, it's that no matter how old you are, how long you've been tired, or how lost you feel, your heart still remembers how to heal. All you have to do is listen.
When I started this journey, I thought I was fixing my diet. But what I really did was rebuild my life. Because when your heart suffers, everything suffers. Your energy, your mood, your patience, your hope. And when your heart heals, everything else begins to heal too. The truth is, we were never meant to eat like machines, counting calories, avoiding natural fats, trusting boxes instead of instincts. We were meant to eat real food, to move, to breathe, to rest, to connect, not to fear the foods that our ancestors thrived on. I used to think health was about perfection, about doing everything right. But now I know it's about awareness. It's about listening. It's about giving your heart permission to feel young again. So, if this video reached you, if any part of it made you stop and think, then let it be your turning point too. Because no doctor, no supplement, no miracle product will ever do for your heart what you can do by simply choosing differently. Remember, your heart isn't your enemy, it's your messenger. And it's been whispering the same thing all along. Take care of me, and I'll take care of you. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone you love, because you never know whose life might change just from hearing the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos that help you heal naturally, live longer, and feel alive again.